Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with more revenge stories. In today's video we find out why it isn't a good idea to be a phone scammer, because in the end you might end up losing your own home. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. Call me obscene names and park in a fire lane, have fun with your ticket. If this is better for petty revenge, just let me know and I will move it, but I thought it was better here. This was years ago when I was a supervisor at a grocery store, and as you know, people love to park in the fire lane for who knows what reason. I am guessing entitlement or laziness. For our store this posed a few problems. One, it was getting in the way of us bringing in carts from outside, and two is that we had a drive-through for our pharmacy and people were getting in the way of that too. I even had a car park in the drive-thru, but that is a different, less satisfying story. There are signs saying this is a fire lane and don't park there. Okay, time for the story. One day I was checking our cart situation when a car pulls into our fire lane and gets very close to our doors. This is bad because I don't want our cart guys accidentally hitting his car when they bring carts in, and you know the whole illegal part. I see him get out and come in through the door I am standing by. I ask him, "Please don't park your car there, it is in the fire lane." His response was to stare at me and just continue walking. Okay, fine, I gave you a chance. I inform my coworker working the service counter to call the police and inform them someone has parked in a fire lane. I informed the manager as well, and I have told him the authorities have already been called. It takes 10 minutes for the police to show up. The officer pulls up behind the car and my cart person comes and grabs me to tell me the police have shown up. As I am walking out the door, guess who shows up? That's right, the driver, and he sees the police car right behind his and the officer less than 10 feet away that I was walking out to talk to. So what is his response now that this is happening? His response, and I am directly quoting, "Gay witch." I'm not happy about this, but I say nothing. Believe me, I wanted to say something. I head back in and inform the manager what just transpired when in comes the officer. He would like to speak to me alone. I really had no idea what was wrong or if I was in trouble. Did I do something wrong by wasting his time or some other thing? Well, it turns out that the officer heard his comment and was planning on giving him a disorderly conduct ticket for his language. I want to say also for him parking in the fire lane, but I fail to see how that relates to traffic. He asks me if this is okay. I ponder this for a moment because I don't want to head to court if I have to testify or some such thing, but then the words he said pop back into my head and I agree to give him the ticket. Here is the kicker. The officer continues to inform me that he cannot do anything about the kid in the car, but he said he will inform the driver that he will mention this in his log and it will be seen by social services. I was not expecting that. I look over at the window to see the car, and sure enough there is a kid about 6 or 7 in the back seat, now jumping up and down. My only guess is that the kid was asleep when I first saw the car. Holy damn, that far outweighs the parking in a fire lane or the car getting hit by carts. One of the customers later comes up to me to thank me for calling the police because she saw that kid was left alone in the car. I told her I didn't know, but I would have called if I hadn't seen that as well. Pets too. The officer leaves and I go back to work and relieve my service counter worker to go on a break. Less than 5 minutes later, the driver walks in and walks by the service counter and gives me the death stare. All I could think was, I just wanted you to park your car in a normal spot. Crap, and now thinking back on that, he still didn't have his kid. I should have called the police again. Smacks head. And you know guys, I remember maybe around 10 to 15 years ago, I have frequently, at least during the summer in Europe, seen or heard of reports about kids or pets getting abandoned in cars, in really hot cars, while the parents go shopping. Thankfully, I haven't heard of such cases nowadays, but it really makes you wonder how negligent some people are. Then again, I've also heard positive stories where kids or pets were rescued by bystanders who saw that someone is in the car and they then just broke the window. Thank God. And the next one is titled, "You want to threaten a lien on my house? Bring it on." This story begins almost a year ago. I received a call from an unknown number on my cell phone. It was an automated message to call a 888 number in regards to serving me papers. I knew right away this may have been a collection agency. I googled the number and confirmed it. Now, I have to disclose I did have identity theft almost 20 years ago. To this day I occasionally get calls from collection agencies trying to collect on some debt from 20 plus years ago that was cleared. Now, most of the time when I get these calls, I ask for their address to send in a dispute letter, including the accompanying data for proof that I had identity theft. Granted, they should not be calling me, but they apologize and I don't get another call. Plus, they usually mail me back and said they closed the account. Well, I go to call this person and I gotta say, the call was interesting. This woman answered and I gave her my info. She started rattling off a debt that was back in 1995. I let her finish and told her that I had no knowledge and there was identity theft. And as soon as I said that, she freaked out. She kept saying she knew the debt was mine and I'm going to pay. I kept telling her that I wanted to mail a letter. But she flat out refused. When I told her I knew my rights, she said that I had the right to pay the debt. She then said that she's going to put a lien on my huge pretty house, her words by the way, and she was describing the house to the letter. She also said she's going to put a lien on my Lexus that she sees in the driveway, and she said that my gate in the front won't stop the repossession. She then hung up. Now I knew better. All she did was get my info from public records and then saw my house on Google Street View. My guess is that she tried to push this intimidation on other people that know better. So far, it appeared to be a very disreputable company. I also had phone recordings when I called in, and they were legal as I asked her if phone calls can be recorded for quality control purposes. She said of course, and I said thank you, I will take that as my consent. I would have just let this go and just say this lady was crazy, but I kept getting the automated phone calls and I couldn't block them as they were unknown. I googled the company and I thought they were in Ohio. A couple of flags that led me to believe this was the person who owned this company in Ohio was being indicted with charges whom was an attorney. I placed a complaint with the Ohio Attorney General, but they could not find any info on what I was submitting. They did call the phone number I gave them, and the Attorney General told me they would stop from calling me. But that is all the Attorney General could do. I also complained to the Federal Consumer Finance Bureau, whom is supposed to be looking into these issues, but they blew me off. Well, 3 months later, I called this number. I had an idea of maybe pressing buttons when I called in to see if I could get more information about the company through the IVR. Well, that paid off. As soon as I pressed 0, I got a different company name. I googled that company and got tons of complaints. This led me to the company existing in New York. I complained to the Attorney General of New York with all of my info. I done quite a bit of research over the next couple of weeks and found out a whole bunch of info, such as the owner. Found out that the address where the company no longer received mail was at the owner's address, their Facebook account, etc. I then got another one of those unknown phone calls, but this time it is a different company. I'm sure you get what I'm getting at. The company just keeps changing their name, but the parent company still calls. I finally had enough of this. I get a private investigator involved and they were quite satisfied with all the info I got so far, so I let him do his business. Well, he calls me back saying that this company is not even registered and it is run by this one lady. I find out the rude lady whom I am talking to is the supposed owner, but not running a legitimate business. I got a process server to file a claim in NY. Granted, I think I could have done it where I was at, but I was heading up to that area in NY anyway, as I had some family reasonably close. The problem was she was not able to be served. The house which she owned she was not able to be served at. Either she was not there or was staying somewhere else. Well, my private investigator started sending out friend requests to her and the people in her friends list. Well, her friends, and then she accepted the Facebook request. My private investigator also found out that she cheated on her boyfriend about a month ago since she posted that crap. The private investigator gave me an idea of trying to reach her boyfriend, and if he can lead us to serve her, I will give him $500. Well, we did that, and sure enough we were finally able to serve this lady at her parents' house about 20 miles from where she was at. I fly up to NY, and since it is small claims, it is just me and this lady. For some reason her mother is there too, but she's not representing. I give the judge all of my info I had over the months and how she broke the law. She broke debt collection laws and threats over the phone. After the judge heard all the trouble I had with these calls and how she hid her identity purposely, the judge gave me the maximum amount of $3,000. In NY, small towns and villages are limited to $3,000. After the case, I heard her mother loudly whispering, but I heard it, "You better hope he doesn't take your house. Your great-grandfather built this with his own bare hands." I was thinking, it would be sweet revenge if I could actually put a lien on the house. Well, lo and behold, I found out that the house had a second mortgage attached to it. With the property value of the house, and if it's sold, I wouldn't end up getting the lien money, since the secondary mortgage was almost as much as the house. I was then contemplating how I was going to get the money from this lady. My private investigator called me 5 months later and said her house is going into foreclosure. I get a proxy to bid for me, but as in most foreclosure actions, the bank buys it back as an REO. I decided to send in a lowball offer to buy the house a couple of months later. The bank accepted my offer, and my guess is that it is a small town and trying to get the right market was an issue. You may be wondering why I even bought this house. Well, here is why. This woman threatened to put a lien on my house with no merit. Well, guess what? I took her house. It was completely worth it. It didn't cost me too much and I had the money. The house is actually in decent shape, just a little small. Plus it will be a nice summer home when I go to visit my relatives. Oh, and I decided to rub in salt to the wound. I sent a letter to her parents' address letting them know I took the house. I told them that if her daughter wouldn't be in the business of scamming people, they may not have lost the house. I also go to find out that the Attorney General of NY is now investigating this lady. I hope they throw the book at her, not going to mention the collection agency, but if you stop getting calls from them, you are welcome. And guys, if you hate phone scammers as much as me, then please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance, it really means a lot to me and it helps my channel tremendously. And the next one is titled, "You want coffee? I will give you coffee." Background: I work in a coffee shop inside a family-owned grocery store. I usually work the evening and night shift because I also attend school in the morning, meaning I have to close a lot rather than work midday shifts. I have a lot of cleaning and chores to do before I can leave at the end of the day when we close at 9, and when I say we close at 9, I mean I am walking out the door and punched out at 9. I have worked there for about 1.5 years and I've never really had a problem with customers, and I generally like helping people, always giving great service to people who deserve it. But sometimes, once in a blue moon, I will get someone coming in right before closing who really gets under my skin. The following is the situation. I am rushing to close on time because my inconsiderate coworker didn't do anything she was supposed to do. It is around 8:50 and I am mopping the floor, relieved to finally be finished in a matter of minutes. I was just about to lock my door when out of the darkness on the other side, this woman, who will henceforth be known as Witch, reached for the door handle and yanked it open as if she was suffering from withdrawal from coffee. She practically knocked me over with her books, which could only be fake, and her mini-me of a daughter in tow. Both were dressed as if they were about to go clubbing. I was fuming at their lack of apologizes and behavior. Never was treated so poorly, and I've been treated terribly, but that's another time. They stood at the counter, obviously wanting a drink. I put on my best customer service smile and forced myself to wait on them. Since it is a family-owned business, quality service was mandatory and I am expected to smile and bend over backwards while juggling 3 whales on a unicycle atop Big Ben and swallow words if the customer asked me to. I start out asking, "What can I?" when I was cut off. "I need 2 large mocha shakes now." I was less than pleased. I had everything cleaned and she orders the most complicated drinks, requiring I dirty almost everything. Fortunately, we are about to close and I couldn't do it right. I'm sorry ma'am, but everything is in the dishwasher and soapy. I have a huge sincere smile on my face that I get to tell this witch she is not getting her damn shakes. We close at 9 and it is 8:55. She completely loses her mind yelling,
"What do you mean? Are you saying that I cannot get 2 drinks? You close at 9. It is not 9.
My smile falters as I see my manager charging over. Can I help you ma'am? My manager asks her. The witch whines,
Yeah, she,
pointing at me,
said that it is too late for drinks, but it's not 9 yet.
Suddenly the mini witch pipes up and says, I want a shake now. My manager turns to me and tells me to go make the drinks. I cannot really argue with him, so I just frown and say, fine. He leaves. My smile has almost completely disappeared. You can tell I am annoyed. I ring them up and the total comes to $7.85. Nothing special. She digs out her wallet from her purse and starts counting out quarters, dimes and pennies. Really? After she finished, the witch was short a good $1.34. Then that is when she did the unimaginable. She reached inside my tip jar and took $1 as mini witch handed her 35 cents. I was so appalled that I just stared at her mouth open when she tried to hand me the money. I protested, ma'am, that dollar is mine. You cannot have it. She looked shocked. I told her no.
Yes, I can.
No, you cannot. That is my tip jar, my property, my money. You just basically stole my dollar. She let out a frustrated as she shoved my dollar back in the jar and asked Mini Witch for $1, to which she pulled out a $5 bill. I had an angry frown on my face as I cashed them out. I was fuming. That is when I knew I had to get revenge. The revenge was, I grabbed the blender out of the dishwasher and kinda washed off the soap. I poured the ice in and added significantly less chocolate, vanilla and cream, so it would be too thick to suck up through a straw. They would have to use a spoon. Then I used coffee instead of espresso, same flavor, just not good quality. I blended for half the time, leaving huge ice chunks in the bottom, which is unpleasant to get around and is useless. When I poured it into their cups, I forgot to add the chocolate around the outside. This doesn't change flavor, it is just not as cosmetically pleasing. And finally, I ran out of whipped cream, so I used flat lids instead of the nice dome lids that hold the whipped cream. I felt satisfied in my work and I decided to take an extra minute to clean up my mess, stealing another precious minute from them. I gave them my biggest smile as I handed them the drinks. I ran to the back and punched out, meaning I no longer work or do anything or else I get into trouble. I walked out as Witch approached me.
You need to remake these.
I played dumb. What do you mean?
These are awful. It is too thick and doesn't have the chocolate or whipped cream.
I smile and politely tell her, I'm sorry, but it is currently 9:02, we are closed and I punched out. I cannot help you. She stares me down, but I keep my smile firm. Witch gives up and sits down with Mini Witch, who tries to eat her shake with a spoon. I walk over very slowly and lean down to their level and calmly tell them, ever hear that you shouldn't mess with or be rude to people who handle your food and drinks? And give her a smile as her face gets pale as if she saw a ghost. Have a nice night, I yell as I walk out the door. I laughed all the way home. And Ripe stars, unfortunately we have already reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. However, if you cannot wait for more Ripe content, then I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you can find more exclusive Reddit content read by me. Patreon subscriptions start at just $1 per month, and for $1 your name will show up at the end of each of my new videos. However, if you are willing to spend $3 per month, you will get access to more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos, mostly just no mother-in-law stories. However, please understand, I don't want to pressure anyone into spending money, because I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos every single day. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next video.